Dexter wasn't just a TV show, it was a moral tightrope walk with blood spatter. It made you root for a serial killer, question your own sanity, and somehow feel emotional over a guy dismembering corpses in his spare time. But behind the scenes, things were even messier. These are 20 weird facts about Dexter, and the bonus. Let's just say even Showtime hoped you'd never see it. Fact 1. Michael C. Hall filmed the first season while secretly battling cancer. During Dexter's early seasons, Hall was at the top of his game. Critics raved, fans obsessed. But what nobody knew, he was fighting Hodgkin's lymphoma privately. He received the diagnosis during season 4, right when the show was hitting peak momentum. Hall kept filming while undergoing treatment. He wore a wig in some scenes, which went completely unnoticed by most viewers. He announced his illness publicly in 2010 and then returned to filming like nothing happened. In interviews, he said playing Dexter helped him focus through the pain, and somehow the show never missed a beat. Fact 2. Dexter's kill room plastic wasn't just for show, it was OSHA approved. The iconic kill rooms, saran wrap, plastic sheeting, surgical tape became a symbol of the show. But that plastic? It wasn't just set dressing, it had to be regulation grade. Because Dexter filmed on location in hot, humid Miami, condensation would form under the plastic during long shoots. If they didn't use the real stuff, it would collapse, slip, or even melt under studio lights. The crew had to consult with occupational safety experts. Each kill room took nearly 12 hours to prep, just to make sure Dexter's murders were visually and logistically airtight. Fact 3. The show's opening sequence was banned in some countries. You know the one? Dexter flossing, shaving, squeezing blood red juice, tying his shoes like he's about to kill someone with them. It's all innocent until it isn't. That sequence became iconic, but some broadcasters didn't think it was clever. They thought it was too disturbing. In the UK and several Asian markets, the full opening montage was shortened or cut entirely. Viewers there only got a brief title card, skipping the intense breakfast as murder metaphor. The irony? It's one of the least violent parts of the entire show. Fact 4. Michael C. Hall and Jennifer Carpenter got married in real life, then divorced while still playing siblings. Yes, Dexter and Deb were step-siblings on screen, but off-screen the actors were romantically involved. They dated during early seasons, got married in 2008, and then split up by 2011. Awkward timing, right when the show decided to introduce a plotline where Deb becomes romantically conflicted about her brother. Neither actor liked that arc. In interviews, they both admitted it was weird, but they stayed professional. "We did the job," Hall said. "We told the story they wanted, even if we didn't agree with it." Some fans called it bold writing. Most just called it creepy. Fact 5. The ice truck killer was almost Dexter himself. In early drafts of season 1, writers considered making the ice truck killer a full split personality of Dexter. Not just his brother, not just a twisted counterpart, literally another version of himself. The original plan? Dexter would leave clues for himself, not realizing he was chasing himself. Think Fight Club, but bloodier. They dropped it mid-development. Producers thought it'd be too gimmicky and feared it would make Dexter seem mentally unstable instead of morally complex. Still, you can feel those early ideas bleeding into season 1's more surreal moments. Fact 6. The blood spatter was chocolate syrup, and the smell was awful. TV blood is always fake, but Dexter's signature red splashes had a very specific recipe, mostly chocolate syrup dyed with red food coloring. Why? It looked the best under lights and on HD cameras, but when left out for more than a few hours, especially in Miami heat, it reeked like old cake batter mixed with pennies. Actors would finish a take and immediately shower. Crew members wore gloves just to move props. Phillips. In one interview, Jennifer Carpenter said, "Every time I smell Hershey's syrup now, I gag." Into this behind-the-scenes chaos. Hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell because the next facts get even darker. Fact 7. Dexter's boat had its own stunt double. The slice of life, Dexter's getaway boat, was used in nearly every season, but most of the shots where it crashes, burns, or speeds off into the horizon, that wasn't the original. They had two identical boats, one for docked scenes and another for stunts. The stunt version was fitted with underwater cameras, extra flotation foam, and even a secret motor for wide shots. In season 5, when the boat supposedly destroyed, only the stunt model was used. After the finale, Showtime auctioned both off. One went to a collector, the other ended up in a Florida marina, still named Slice of Life. Fact 8. Real serial killers were caught watching the show. Multiple real-life murderers were reported to have been Dexter fans. One of the most infamous? Mark Twitchell, a Canadian killer who lured victims to a garage he'd transformed into a Dexter-style kill room. When police found his laptop, the wallpaper was Dexter's face. He even kept a journal titled SK Confessions, short for Serial Killer Confessions. In it, he said, "Dexter inspired me. I related to his code. The show's creators were horrified. We never meant for anyone to emulate him," said showrunner Clyde Phillips. Dexter's supposed to be a cautionary tale. Fact 9. The writers once forgot how a character died, and fans noticed. In Season 2, Sergeant Dokes dies in a massive explosion. Memorable, brutal, no room for confusion. But in a later season, another character references Dokes being shot to death. Fans caught it immediately. Reddit threads exploded. How do you forget one of the show's most pivotal deaths? The writers later admitted it was a slip. A script revision passed without a continuity check, and nobody caught the error until it aired. It became an inside joke among hardcore fans. Dokes exploded, except when he didn't. Fact 10. The Trinity Killer's bathroom scene made the crew cry. John Lithgow's portrayal of Arthur Mitchell, aka the Trinity Killer, won him an Emmy, but one scene in particular left even the camera crew shaken. The moment where he forces a woman into a bathtub to recreate his mother's death. No music, minimal dialogue, just raw terror. Lithgow was so intense, the actress opposite him broke down between takes. The director asked if they should pull back. She said no. Keep rolling, it's supposed to be this scary. Michael C. Hall later called it the hardest scene to film in the entire series. Fact 11. Dexter's kill knife is based on a real surgical tool. The blade Dexter uses in his ritual kills isn't just a random prop. It's modeled after a modified Stryker autopsy knife used by real medical examiners. The props department studied autopsy footage, consulted forensic specialists, and chose the design for its clean lines and minimal blood spray. Michael C. Hall requested the blade be lightweight, sharp-looking, but safe. The final version was a dull-edge replica with a retractable tip. Unless you looked closely, it passed as the real thing. Showrunners joke that the prop knife got more attention than some of the guest stars. Fact 12. The Bay Harbor Butcher name was inspired by a Florida cold case. The nickname Bay Harbor Butcher wasn't just a cool serial killer alias. It was lifted from a real unsolved case involving dismembered bodies found near Miami's Biscayne Bay in the early 2000s. Writers claim they borrowed the name and fictionalized everything else. But for Miami locals, the reference wasn't lost. Several newspapers ran headlines like, "Dexter mirrors Miami's real horror" during the show's run. One Miami police officer even told Entertainment Weekly, "We used to joke that our forensics lab was just waiting for a guy like Dexter to show up." Fact 13. Deb's most famous line wasn't in the script. Deborah Morgan, known for her profanity-laced tirades, delivered one line that became a fan favorite. "I am not a morning person. I am barely a person." That line, pure improv. Jennifer Carpenter was riffing between takes and muttered it while sipping coffee. The director laughed, the audio team caught it, and it made its way into the next episode's script. It went viral on Tumblr and Reddit. Fans printed it on mugs and posters. Carpenter later said, "That line was the most honest thing I've ever said on set." Fact 14. The showrunner left after season 4, and the tone changed immediately. Many fans agree season 4 with the Trinity Killer was the show's peak. After that, things got uneven. There's a reason. Showrunner Clyde Phillips left after season 4 to spend more time with his family. He handed the reins to Chip Johannesson, who took the show in a more melodramatic, less tightly wound direction. Even Michael C. Hall noticed. "We shifted into something looser, more operatic," he said in an interview, but it also meant losing some of that early discipline. Phillips would eventually return for Dexter, New Blood, a course correction that came too late for some fans. Fact 15. The final season was rewritten after filming began. Season 8 was a mess, and it wasn't entirely the writer's fault. Showtime had originally approved 2 final seasons with a different ending, but halfway through writing season 8, the network decided, make this the end. Now, writers had to condense their plans into a rushed wrap-up. Plot lines were cut, character arcs got clipped, and Dexter's infamous finale, driving into a hurricane, then waking up as a lumberjack, was born out of chaos. Even Michael C. Hall admitted it was a compromise that didn't satisfy anyone. Fact 16. The actor who played Quinn used to be in a boy band. Desmond Harrington, who played the brooding detective Joey Quinn, once had a very different career. He was briefly part of an early 2000s boy band that never made it big. When asked about it during press interviews, he'd laugh it off. "That's ancient history. I traded the mic for a badge." Photos surfaced of him in a leather vest, frosted tips, and NSYNC style poses. Fans dubbed his character Detective Dreamboat for a while. Showrunners considered writing in a backstory where Quinn was in a band, then decided reality was already absurd enough. Fact 17. The blood slides almost got the show fined. Dexter's signature trophy ritual, saving a single drop of blood on a microscope slide, became one of the show's most iconic and disturbing elements. But it almost caused legal trouble. The concern: it blurred the line between TV violence and fetishization. The FCC investigated whether the practice constituted repeated graphic ritual violence. Showtime pushed back hard, citing artistic context. In the end, no fines were issued, but the show was required to soften the bloodslide scenes in network reruns using alternate takes or shortened edits. Still, that wooden box, pure nightmare fuel. Fact 18. The show accidentally aired an uncensored scene overseas. In season 7, there's a graphic scene involving a disemboweled victim in Dexter's kill room. In the US, it aired with heavy shadows and careful angles. But in several international markets, specifically Australia and the Netherlands, the raw cut was broadcast by mistake. The uncensored version included gore that FX teams never expected to reach audiences. Open chest cavities, lingering camera shots, close-ups of intestines. Viewer complaints poured in. The networks issued apologies, but Dexter fans, they traded the footage online like contraband. Today it's referred to on forums as the leak that shouldn't exist. Fact 19. Rita's death was kept secret from most of the cast. The season 4 finale ends with one of the most shocking twists in TV history. Rita, Dexter's wife, dead in the bathtub, murdered by the Trinity Killer. To preserve the surprise, the scene was filmed with the skeleton crew at night off schedule. Julie Benn's Rita was told she was being written out only days before. The rest of the cast didn't find out until the table read. Michael C. Hall's reaction in the final scene, totally real. "They didn't warn me exactly how it would look," he said. "It messed me up." Fact 20, Dexter. New Blood had an alternate ending, and fans might like it better. In Dexter, New Blood, Dexter finally dies, shot by his own son Harrison. But that wasn't the only version. Clyde Phillips revealed there were 2 alternate endings filmed. One had Harrison walking into the police station and confessing to the murder. Another had Dexter escaping, again, and watching Harrison from afar in a new city. Test audiences preferred the emotional closure of the version that aired, but many fans still argue that letting Dexter live, watching but never intervening, would have been a more poetic punishment. Showtime, as always, went for the clean break, maybe too clean. Bonus fact, the lumberjack ending wasn't a joke, it was a network order. Yes, the infamous lumberjack twist at the end of the original series wasn't a writer's idea. It came from Showtime execs who refused to let Dexter die. Clyde Phillips said, "We had him dying in the finale." Showtime said no, they wanted the option to bring him back. So the writers gave them what they wanted, a non-ending. Dexter disappears, grows a beard, becomes a bearded meme. Years later, Dexter. New Blood tried to fix it, but for many fans, the damage had already been done. If you liked this, hit like and subscribe. More wild facts are on the way.